did that feel like?
Good. Expensive.
Expansive. Oh, can you tell me a bit more about that, please?
Yes, because we were in a nice little group here and nicely compacted, and we have spread it across this entire room. And you're in the centre, and there's more of a circle around, half a circle around you, and there is more space to see you and feel your energy.
Wonderful, thank you.
That's how it feels.
Thank you. Someone else, yes.
Unexpected.
Unexpected.
Yeah, a bit surprised, like, wow, this is a way of changing the energy and just sort of catch us off from what we expect.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful, thank you. Someone else.
Feels more connected.
Feels more connected, beautiful. Gorgeous. Someone from over here, yes.
It feels like I'm going to have some fun now.
Oh.
I'm looking at the other direction, I'm being turned right around.
Great, fantastic. How might this relate to your business? Or your project? Or what you're looking to do?
Just turn things around and upside out and inside in and out and whatever you want to call it, and literally being a bit more lateral.
Yeah. I have a spiritual teacher, and I've had the same teacher for 32 years. And she said something one day. She said, "You're on the right path. You're just going the wrong way."
How did that feel?
Someone said surprising before. Shocking. Really shocking. And I think months later, really valuable. And I think it is the shock of the new. And I think it is in those shocking moments where we learn our greatest lessons. And it's when we have to turn around and face the other direction. Which from my experience, has always been about finding my truer direction. And that to me is what being on purpose is about. Following the true direction. And it's quite often swimming upstream while everyone's swimming downstream. And why? Simply because I'm called to do that. My background is in theatre and in the arts. Back in my late teens, I decided what I wanted to do was be Australia's next Mel Gibson.
Wrong direction.
As you can see, wrong direction.
Mad Julian.
And so I went off and I trained at the Victorian College of the Arts School of Drama in Melbourne, which is regarded as one of the best acting training courses in Australia. And what I learned there was to listen to the creative impulse. And that was the central plank of our training. And that we were not to move until we felt the truth in moving. And we were not to speak until we found the truth in speaking. And that creating characters and working with a script and a play was about truth. And that was to honour and revere every character we ever played. It wasn't about pretending. It was about finding the reason another human being wanted to speak. And most of the characters were very different. Most of the characters that are written in history are in a lot of pain and torture. So it's about finding the humility to be able to offer myself and my fellow actors in service of a writer and of another character and in search of a higher meaning. And it was something I think of my acting training nearly every day. And so I was 23 then, I'm 56, so I'm not a mathematician, I can't work out, 33 years. And my acting teacher is probably one of the most influential people in my life because she taught me to listen. And she taught me to ask questions. Yes.
I was just thinking about, that's the first impulse I had when I just turned around and saw you. How you amazingly stand in completely stillness and is completely comfortable with it.
Thank you.
And that it's just silence for a moment, that you don't say anything and just let and allow the silence to take place. I just wanted to feedback on that because that was actually my first thought.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because there's a very powerful conversation taking place in this room. And it's the silent conversation. It's the hunger of our souls. And it's the fullness of our souls talking to one another. Whenever we're in a group and we access that place of stillness, there's an extraordinary intelligence in operation. We come here for lots of different reasons, but the deeper purpose is much deeper. It's a wordless space. And here I was trained to not talk if there was nothing to say. Because something happens, something profound happens in the silence. Robert Fritz spoke about this. He's really worth exploring, the work of Robert Fritz. He talks about creative tension and how to make things manifest in the world. And what Robert Fritz talks about is you must have a clear vision. So everything in our work and in our lives, we must have a clear vision. And as Merva said, it's about being in alignment. Your vision must be deeply aligned with your soul's intent. So you have a clear vision. And then you must also kind of tune in intuitively, what's the current reality? Where are things right now? And what that does is it creates a tension, creative tension, vision, current reality. You get really clear where you've been called to go to, and you get really clear about everything that's holding you back. And the real pain of being in the current reality, you've got a very strong creative dynamic. Now what masters do and what creative geniuses, if you like, or simply people who make stuff happen, is the ability to hold those 2 points of tension. Because setting up a business, setting up a practice, I've never met anyone, and I've coached hundreds of people who's sitting in your chair, who doesn't say it's fucking difficult. You know, like you burrow down deep enough, there's a giant no in most of us. I can't do this. I'm not prepared for it. I'm not equipped for it. And if we're honest, we're not, and we're not supposed to be. Because when you start the journey, you don't have everything you need. That's what the journey's for. And then the third component is the bridge. There you've got the vision, you've got your current reality, you need a bridge. And that's where your gift comes in. Everyone is gifted. I kind of harbour this little thought that each of us is a genius. Every single human being is a genius. And I know in your quiet moments, you think that too. And isn't that delicious? When we do, when we go, I'm fucking brilliant. No one else could do that. I do that.
I knew it was important.
Sorry? Yeah. So like, and we look around, where's the cameras? You know, that'll be chapter 3 of my autobiography. And it's nice to be able to play with that. But I think it's really important to revere and honour the genius within. And you know, we're put on this planet and we're all gifted. You know. But heavens above, we're told by 1 million people in 1,000 different ways that we're not. You know, education says you've got to get these grades, you know, and your parents say you've got to do this, and your relatives will say you've got to do that, and society will say you've got to do that, and police will say you've got to do that, you know. But there comes a time when you do have to live according to your own deeper truth. And if you're on a spiritual path, and I could say that pretty well everyone in here is on a spiritual path, you start to listen to a different voice. You start to listen to a cleaner, clearer voice. And it's intelligent. And one of the reasons why I established Shine was to create a community of like-minded people. People who are listening to that voice, who are leaning into that voice, who want to make a difference in the world. And who don't know how to. But we each have a little piece that we can bring to the party. And if we all have a piece and we all come together, it's incredible what we can do together. I can't do things on my own. But as a member of a team, I know I can change the world. So I suppose I should give you a little bit of background about me. So I told you that my early training was in theatre and learning about the power of creativity. And how creativity always starts with nothing. And nothing is the best place to start. Because if you start with something you've already got, it's like that. But when you really come back to zero, it's the most powerful place, because within nothing is everything. All possibility. It's the most powerful way to start anything. Start your day with, wow, power of nothingness. Which is why I like to meditate every morning. Now that's a lie, most. So in the late 80s, once I graduated from acting school, and I was working in film and TV and mostly theatre, I really loved working with a live audience. I woke up one morning with the kind of crushing and also relieving realisation I was not going to be Mel Gibson. And I had invested like 12 years of my life in that great wonderful fantasy, and it was a fantasy. And that really, if I was honest, God, the universe, God, was calling me in another direction. And I'd been trained to listen to that impulse. So I thought, oh, okay, well, what's next then? And I came up with this idea that I should start a small business, because I needed to make money. If I wanted to have a really great lifestyle, and I did, I wanted to travel around the world, and I wanted to have a nice house, I wanted to have money, and have children and put them through great schools, etc. And I thought, I won't be able to do that as an actor. And so I started a small business. And I was sitting, I didn't know, I'd never had a business before, but I thought I was going to start one. And because we come from zero, you can do anything. And I was having my hair cut at my hairdresser's, and he was the Spanish guy. I can't do a Spanish accent, but I'll attempt it for you. And so I'm kind of sitting there, and he's cutting my hair. Ernesto, that was his name, Ernesto. And he's saying, oh, Julian, he says, what are you doing these days? And I said, oh, well, I'm acting. He says, I've got this idea for you, Julian. And I think you'll become a millionaire with this idea. That's all I need. I thought, Mel Gibson's out, millionaire's in. And he then told me about these hair dyes. And he said, oh, these hair dyes, they're amazing. He says, they're made from vegetables, and they're made from, they're pure, and there's nothing like this in Australia, and whoever brings them here will be a millionaire. And I went, wow. He says, Julian, that could be you. And so he gave me the phone number and address of this company, and they were in England. And so I walked around for a couple of days, really excited about being a millionaire. And kind of hair dyes. So I thought, oh, fuck it, I'll give it a try. And I thought, boy, how am I going to do this, And I thought, well, I'll lie. And I thought, oh, gee, that's a bit rich. What will you do? Well, they'll need to think that you've got credibility. And I thought, well, lying's not going to give me the credibility. You'll be a millionaire. I thought, oh, okay, radio. So what I did was, I invented that I had a company. Julian